Hi there, I'm Perfecto de Castro and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is the first episode of Ask Perf, where I take questions posted to the comments section of my videos, as well as those posted to my social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll do my best to answer them. So here we go. The first couple of questions comes from Erwin3036 Abel. Okay, the first is, what was your first impression on classical guitar? I guess he means, what is my first impression of classical guitar? When I first started lessons, I actually signed up for classical guitar lessons, not by choice, but mainly because he was the only teacher available at the time. So it worked out to my advantage because I was already taught how to read and write standard musical notation, so it was a matter of learning where the notes are on the guitar so that I could play them. In the beginning, I didn't really think too much about it, but I do remember trying to get good right away so I could buy an electric guitar. So that I could get away from the nylon strings. Not because I didn't like it, but because I wanted to join bands right away. So fast forward to a few months later, I finally convinced my parents to buy me an electric guitar, and I put aside the classical guitar for a little bit. It wasn't until many years later when I started when I entered the university for music, where I picked up a classical guitar again and fell in love, and really fell in love with it the second time around, because I guess I was a little bit more mature and I had the capacity to understand the music and the instrument a little bit better. So when I started serious classical guitar studies, I set aside my electric to focus my energies on that, because it's difficult to play both at the same time simultaneously, mainly because of the muscle memory. The string spacings are different, the techniques are different, the right hand technique is different. So I needed time to establish the basic classical guitar technique foundation, so that I could, be any good at it. However, later on, I discovered that I can easily switch between electric and classical once my hands knew how to recognize each instrument. So nowadays I can easily switch. Though, as a rule of thumb, or as a personal rule, if I have a series of electric gigs coming up, I rarely practice classical, and vice versa. If I have a series of classical concerts coming up, then I barely touch my electric and apply myself full time to whatever I need to do. Okay, second question is, it's a River Maya question. So number 2, how did you get Mark Quetta and Rico Blanco to bury the hatchet in order for the 4 out of 5 reunion to happen? I never thought those two guys would share the same stage ever again. To tell you honestly, I don't know. Prior to the 19 East gig, all I did was send emails to the guys to see if they're available to play with me for that night. And thankfully, they all responded positively. And that was that. There wasn't really any discussion. So they may have sorted it out before I came along. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's all I did. Okay, our next set of questions come from Clark Anaviso, and he asks, what is your approach in songwriting? Do you come up with a tune first, lyric second, or vice versa? And there's a follow-up. Favorite scale in approaching guitar solos. Sometimes it happens either way. I have a bunch of lyrics that need music that I haven't written music to. So sometimes that comes first. Sometimes the music comes first, to which I also have a bunch of music that need lyrics written for them. Sometimes it happens where I come up with a lyric and then in the course of writing it, an idea hits and oh, this will fit something I wrote a while back. So sometimes that happens. So I really can't say that I have a specific method, though I can work on lyrics via inspiration, or I can work on songs via inspiration, where when it's on, I can finish it in like 5 to 10 minutes, and when it's fleeting, it may take years. So I try not to worry about it too much. If I'm under a deadline, then I usually lock myself in a room and just hash it out, really work on it. But otherwise, it's just one of those things that I let happen. Okay, favorite scale in approaching guitar solos. When I approach guitar solos, I don't start with the scale. I actually look at the chords or the chord progression that I'm supposed to play over. And from there, they usually tell me what kind of scale that I need to use over them. Okay. And aside from the chords, I also look at the overall mood or the overall emotion that the song is trying to put forth, and that also helps me decide what scales or what approach I need to do for the solo. And of course, the genre of the music also plays a big role. If it's a bluesy song, then you want bluesy licks. If it's an aggressive, driving song, then you want aggressive driving licks as well. So my advice would be for you to study up on your arpeggios, and also to research on the characteristics of each mode, each scale mode. Okay, and that will sort of give you that will categorize the different scales that into sounds instead of notes. Okay, so let's say I want a happy sounding minor scale. So in my mind, that's a Dorian mode. Or I want a bluesy major scale. So in my mind, that's already a Mixolydian mode. Or I want something that sounds Spanish, so which can be Phrygian or Phrygian dominant, that kind of stuff. So that way, you don't think in terms of scales, but you think in terms of sound. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, this has been a lot of fun. If you have your own questions that you want to ask me, post them in the comments box below, or post them to the different social media sites that I have, which I will be flashing on screen right now. And if you want to check out more stuff, click here for a playlist of video lessons that I have on this channel. Click here to go to my website, and click here to subscribe to my channel. Okay, so see you guys again soon.